Hello there. My name is Professor Nitin V. Pujari. I head the Department of Computer Science at PES Bangalore. I will be developing a lot of lecture videos to help and assist students in learning computer science related subjects. As the first attempt, I will be uploading a lot of video lectures on my YouTube channel for the Computer Programming Laboratory code 15 CPL 16 bar 26 as applicable. These videos will consist of a systematic explanation about the related theory along with the algorithm development. It will also show how to write a program mapped to the algorithm that gets developed, design the test cases, look at code coverage and execute the program to see whether the program works for all possible test cases. So the students are here advised not to skip through these videos. Go through these videos with a lot of patience. Try and make notes out of it and understand the concept. If the students find it difficult to understand for the first time, you can always go back, rewind and start from the beginning. In case if you have any doubts, you can mail me at nitinpujari@gmail.com. I'll be very happy to help with some questions. If you ask, if I'm able to answer, I'll be able to give those answers in the subsequent video lectures. So after the preamble, let us now develop an algorithm for or carry out the task technically. The task says that design and develop a flowchart or algorithm. All my videos will be concentrating on the algorithm. So in this case, the algorithm has to take three coefficients a comma b comma c of a quadratic equation which is of the form ax square plus bx plus c as input and compute all possible routes. Implement a C program for the developed flowchart or algorithm and execute the same to output the possible routes for a given set of coefficients with appropriate messages. So this is a task that we are supposed to do. So before we write an algorithm, we have to come out with something called bookkeeping. Okay, bookkeeping before the algorithm, which is nothing but we are supposed to understand the theory behind the problem that is given. So if you look at the quadratic equation formulae, the quadratic equation formulae says roots is nothing but minus b plus square root of d whole divided by (2a). I'll explain to you what exactly we mean by this. And then one more root will be minus b minus square root of d whole divided by 2 into a for roots, because our quadratic equation formula, if you look at, is ax square plus bx plus c. So our discriminant d will be b square minus 4ac. So now let us understand the values of a, b and c. If we know that if a comma b comma c are all equal to 0, the roots are inconsistent, we cannot find out. Next, if my a is equal to 0 then the quadratic equation becomes a linear equation of the form bx plus c. Then the roots will be linear root of the form minus c by b. Now suppose if we have our a is greater than 0, b is greater than 0, c is greater than 0. Now it may result in our discriminant to be taking 3 values. Of equal to 0, greater than 0 and less than 0. So we have to look at all this systematically. If the discriminant is equal to 0, then roots are real and coincidental. Which means my equation will now become, since my d will be 0, my roots will be minus b upon 2a. Now suppose if my discriminant is greater than 0, then my roots are real and distinct, wherein my roots will automatically be this roots. So we may get one more condition. If my d becomes less than 0, then roots are complex. So we cannot find square root of a negative number in the computer. So in that case, what we will do? In that case, we make d as positive find the square root and append it with character I. Okay, so computationally it will not be significant, but only display wise it will be significant. So I hope that we have taken care of all these conditions now, which says the roots, the value of a is a, b, c. If they are 0, then the roots are inconsistent. If a is equal to 0, then the equation becomes a linear equation. The linear root is minus c by b. If all the 3 are greater than 0, then the discriminant that we calculate may take 3 values: equal to 0, greater than 0, less than 0. If d is equal to 0, then the roots are real and coincidental. If the d is greater than 0, roots are real and distinct. If less than 0, the roots are complex. So this is our bookkeeping understanding. So let us write an algorithm for roots of quadratic equation. Okay. So So what do we do? So first thing is what we do, we write the algorithm stepwise. We will say in step 1 we will accept A comma B comma C. In step 2, if A comma B comma C is equal to 0, then go to last step. We'll see what the last step is. Step 3, if A is equal to 0 and B is greater than 0 and C is greater than 0, then roots are linear. The linear root is minus C by B. Go to last step. Next, in step 4, if my A, B, C are greater than 0, then the roots may take any 3 positions. In that, find the discriminant D, then if D is equal to 0, then roots are real and coincidental. Which is nothing but minus B by 2A. Okay, I'm writing algorithm. It's also a little bit of pseudo code, so that's fine. Okay, then I will go to last step. If my discriminant is greater than 0, then my roots are real and distinct. So I will find the roots using this formula. So x1 and x2 will be this respectively. Okay, now if my D is less than 0, then roots are real and imaginary, or you can also say complex root. So x1 and x2 will be of the form now. So if you see here, I have made it as square root of D. Because the D is less than 0, I will make it minus D. Make it as minus D. Here also I will make it as minus D. Then my roots will be, I will append it with I. Okay, so that is what the roots will be. I will append it with I, which we will do it when we write the program. Now after that, I will go to the last step. Okay, so after that, I will go to the last step. So what is my last step? The last step is display appropriate results bar messages and stop. So this is what we mean by this algorithm. So accept ABC. So we have taken care of all the conditions, right? So this is our algorithm per se. All right. So after looking at this algorithm, let us next develop the code. Okay. Thank you very much. What I will do is I will start developing the code. Hope you have understood this. So if there are any issues, please go back to this video, replay it, and then during the time of developing program development, I may refer to this. So please make sure that you have thoroughly understood till this step. Okay. So the next step would be we will start developing the algorithm. Okay. Hello again. Hope you liked the first part of the video, which looked at the development of an algorithm for finding the roots of a quadratic equation along with bookkeeping. So in the second part, we will look at how to implement a C program for this developed algorithm for the roots of quadratic equation. So my C program development environment will be Notepad for editing my program, GCC for compiling my program. So Notepad comes with automatically Windows, on Windows, gedit on Linux, Ubuntu. If you want, you can use that, and GCC for compiling the program on Windows and also on Ubuntu. Okay. So now let us start writing our first program. So before we write our first program, we should also develop something called test cases as a first stage. Test cases is the program should work for these inputs. So what are our inputs? Our inputs are in the form of a, b, c, and for the values of a, b, c, I will generate the relevant output. This is our mapping. So my test case 1 will be, if it is 0, 0, 0, if all are 0, 0, 0, then output will be roots are inconsistent. Okay. Then if my output is say 0, 2, 3, the roots are linear. And linear root will be -1, which is nothing but minus c by b. Suppose if I now take the root, the value of a, and b, c to be 1, 2, 3. So what should be the output for a value of 1, 2, 3. So if you remember our quadratic equation concept, so what will be the discriminant? The discriminant will be b square minus 4 ac. So in this case my discriminant will be less than 0. So output roots are real and complex. Okay, and display appropriate values. So what are the values in this case now? So since my discriminant, if you look at b square minus 4ac, which is 4 minus 4 3s are 12. So 4 minus 12 will be, it will be square root of minus 8. We have to make it square root of 8. So whatever is the square root of 8 will be the value, and we have to display it as roots as real and complex. So suppose if I take for example 1 minus 4 and 5. So if it is 1 minus 4 and 5, so it should be b square minus 4ac again, correct? So if you take 1 minus 4 and 5, so what is b square? The b square will be 16, and 4ac will be 4 into 1 into 5, which will again be 20. The roots will still be real and complex. Okay. Suppose if my value is say 1 comma 5 comma say 2. Now in this case my b square is 25. So 25 minus 4ac is 8. So I'll get square root of 17. So my root will not be complex, but my root will be real and distinct. So my roots will be real and distinct. So I have to make sure that the program at least work for these results. Okay, so let us see how to develop the program. So we have to do it systematically so that our output should be in of this order. So for example, one more case we have to look at, which is real and coincidental. So for that, if my value of say a is 2, and then if my value of b is 2, and the value of c is say 1, so in this case my b square is 4 and my 4ac is 4. So 4 minus 4 is 0. So I will get the value of the square root, which is discriminant, as 0. So then my roots will be real and coincidental. My roots will be real and coincidental. Okay, so if it works for these conditions, it should work for almost all conditions. So let us see. Okay, so now let us start writing the program. First I will include stdio.h. This is for basic IO. Hash include math.h. This is for finding square root using built-in square root function. Okay, and then our roots will be double x1 comma x2. This is for the roots. So because my value will be in real numbers, I'll use it as double. I can also use float, doesn't matter. So in this case I'll use double. Then we need the values of a comma b comma c. That also I'll take it as double. So this is for coefficients. So this is for the coefficients. Then I also need one value for the discriminant. So this is for the discriminant. Okay, so then we will try and add if at all we need some more later. So what I'll do is I'll first say int main, which is the structure of a C program. Then I'll close the bracket. So how the development has to take place is, first let me develop it stage wise. Okay, so I will save this code as .c. Okay. So I'll go to the directory. So in this case, if you see all the directories that I will have, this is my directory. So I'll change the directory to CPL50. This is my directory and this will be my program. So this is my program that I have, which I will compile now. Okay, so to do that, to compile that, what I'll do is I will use the GCC and check for any errors. Okay, so it says expected before token, so maybe we would have missed one thing here. So how to look at these errors? So if you look at this error, it says there is an error in line number 11. Okay, so let us go to line number 11. So line number 11 is this one. Okay, so here we'll save this. To remove the error, so there is a says at line number 36. So this is our line number 36. Okay, we'll save this code and then we will compile this. So now it doesn't give any error, which means we are clear of error. So let us compile and execute this program. So when we do that, for example, if you see this, I have type GCC -o is I am asking it to generate a binary image of 15 cpl.c and put the output in OP and create an op.exe file. Okay. Anyhow, you know, once you I do this every time in every video. So when I do this, I know if I say OP, the program is not doing anything. So it has nothing. So up till here there is no problem. So first thing what I will do is I will try and accept the value from the user. So I will ask the user enter the values of A, B and C. So this is called echoing. I know I should ask to the user what I am actually accessing. So I will scanf. Since the values of A, B, C are of type double, so the format specifier to read double is %LF. If I was using float, then the format specifier will be %F. Now if you interchange the format specifier, if there's a problem with the format specifier, you will not be able to read the input properly. So I'll say %LF, %LF. So this will be my AND of A, comma, AND of B, comma, AND of C. So we will be accepting the values from the user. whenever we accept the user value from the user, we should also find out whether the values have been accepted properly, because if your input is wrong, then we will have a problem. So we will say my value, given value of A is equal to, again I have to do percentage LF because it is double. Now if I do a percentage F for double, I may get error. Okay, so this we have to be careful. So I will do this. I have to do for B and C both. So this will be my value of B, value of C, value of B, and value of C. Let us save this to find out and compile and execute this, see if there are any errors. So I do this, there are no errors, so I will say OP. Now it is asking for a value of A, B and C. I will say 1, 2 and 3. It is giving me 1, 2 and 3. So these are the values that I am getting. So my input is been accepted properly. Once again, I just give, I'll accept the input on the next line. So I'm giving /n. So let me go back again, recompile this. Any changes that I make, I have to recompile, otherwise it will take the old image. So I will now do 10, 12.3 and say 5. So it gives me 10, 12.3 and 5. So as far as my input to the program is concerned, it is a perfect input. Okay. So let me go back and develop the program further. Here what I will do is, I will say if, what is my first condition? If my A is equal to 0 and my B is equal to 0 and my C is equal to 0, I should print the roots are inconsistent and exit. So these are my roots are inconsistent. Okay, so let me see if this again works. So this is a major decision. So I'll recompile this once again and check for the output. I'll give say 0, 0, 0. So the roots are inconsistent. So I am able to check for the first condition. Right? So else, so if they are not equal to 0, so in this case all the three have to be equal to 0. I don't know how many of them are which is not equal to 0. So for that, what is my second condition? And my second condition is if my A is equal to 0, then automatically printf, it is a linear equation that we have seen, right, in the beginning. So what will be my linear root? The linear root is, I'll do percentage LF because it will be minus C by B minus C by B. Okay, so we'll check for this condition as well. Okay, so we have to check for both the conditions. Let us see. We will save this code again, go back and recompile and do the OP. So our first condition was what? 0, 0, 0. So the roots are inconsistent. So what will be our second condition? 0, 1, 2. So if I do that, this is a linear equation because my A is 0. So ax square plus bx will become bx plus c. So my root will be minus c by b, isn't it? So it is minus c by b. So what is c? 2. 2 minus 1. 2 divided by minus 1 is minus 2. So up till here there is no problem. The program is working perfectly fine. Now else, here what happens is, here it clearly means that if you really want to verify once again about this condition, see if A is equal, if in this case all the three are 0, so it's inconsistent. In this case only A is 0, that's why it's a linear equation. Okay. So you may ask me, what if once if the A is equal to 0, and if I also give, say for example, my B is equal to 0, right? Then I should get a runtime error because my B is a 0. Correct? Let me just show you this. So if I do the OP and now I give 0, 0, 1, okay, so the root is now infinity. It is just giving minus infinity 0, 0, 0, whatever, right? So it is unable to look at that. Okay, some compilers will, some machines will also give you a runtime error because it becomes a divide by 0 error. So in this case, it is going for an infinity. So suppose if I give something like, if my value of A is 0, value of B is 1, value of C is 0. Okay, in that case, the linear root is, it just gives minus 0. Of course, it is insignificant there, but anyhow, minus C by B, right? So in this case, what we will do is, to avoid such kind of infinity, here we will try and see what is the value of A, B and C, right? When these two conditions are not met. Maybe we are thinking that A is non-zero, definitely A is non-zero, correct? Because it is past this condition, and then maybe B and C may be 0 or whatever. So what we will do is, we will find the discriminant. So for easiest one thing for us to find out is the discriminant. Okay, so we have something called D. So D will now be equal to my square root of, okay, for example, if I now take my D will be now B square, okay, which is B into B minus 4AC, 4 into A into C. So let us also display the value of the discriminant, because or both the conditions are not met. So the value of the discriminant, the value of the discriminant D will now be equal to D. Okay, so let us see what will be the value of the discriminant. So we will recompile this, okay, and do the OP. So now we will give 1, 2, 3. So value of our discriminant is now minus 8. Now why it is minus 8? It is B square, right? Okay, B square, if you look at our formula, B square minus 4AC. So if you compare this, my 2 into 2 is 4, correct? And 4 into 3 is 12. So my D is minus 8, which means I have to now check for D. What I am supposed to do for D, I am supposed to check. So now if you see, first condition, once I calculate D, if my D is greater than 0, which means the roots are real and distinct. The roots are real and distinct. The roots are real and distinct. Correct? The roots are real and distinct. Right? If my D is less than 0, if my D is less than 0, then what is my roots? My roots are real and coincidental. Coincidental. If my condition, if my D is equal to 0, we can actually do nested if else and all that. I am just trying to see if this is easier to understand. The roots are imaginary. You could say real and imaginary or complex root, anything is fine. Let us see whether we are able to get all these conditions before we display the roots. So we will save this code. Okay. So if you see, I have calculated D. If D is greater than 0, the roots are real and distinct. If D is less than 0, it is real and if D is less than 0, the roots will be real and coincidental. No, it will be real and imaginary. If my D is equal to 0, then my roots are real and coincidental. sorry about it. So we will do something like this, right? Okay, so we will try and see if this is perfect, just to see whether all the conditions are working perfectly or not. Okay, so we have D was outside the scope. Okay, so that is because, see, that is since key is case sensitive, capital D is different from small d. So we have given small d, so it is unable to identify. We'll make it as capital D. All right. So this is our capital D. Okay, so just to be on the safer side, we'll also display the value of the discriminant, just to see whether the condition is properly met. The value of the discriminant, or we can just say D is equal to percentage LF D. All right. So we'll try and see what is the output that it gives. So we will now look at something called OP. So now if I give 0, 0, 0, the roots are inconsistent, condition number 1 is met. If I do 0, 1, 1, it is a linear equation, the linear root is this. Now let me give 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the roots are real and imaginary. Now that is because my discriminant is less than 0, isn't it? Which is negative, correct? So once it is negative, square root of negative is nothing but complex root. So that's why I get that. So that condition is also met. Let me take say 1 minus 4, 5. Let us see what we will get here. Again we are getting real and imaginary. See, for example, if I have to get for real and coincidental, so maybe I'll do 1, 2, 1. If I do that, yeah, I am getting real and coincidental because the value of D is 0. The discriminant is 0. If I now take, for example, the value as 1, 5, say 1. So my D is positive, the roots are real and distinct. So all these conditions are now met. The program is 80% working. So I have to only find the roots now. Okay, so what I do here is I will find the roots. I have to calculate the roots. I'll say x1 is equal to, right, minus b plus SQRT square root of D. Okay, this is what I do. Whole divided by 2 into A. Now, if you see this, now the square root of D, the square root function is actually from the math.h. Okay, so I've used it from math.h. So I'll again say my x2 is equal to, I'll simply say minus b minus square root of D. Okay, hopefully this is correct. So minus b plus whole divided by 2a. So we will look at the values of x1 and x2 now. I'm just reusing so that I don't have to type once again. So I'll say the value of x1. This you can as well do in the exam. There is no need to retype it again. Value of x1, x2. This is x1. So we will take it as say x1, comma x2. Okay, so I will save this. I will use x1, x2 only, perfectly fine. So we have to now recompile this and check only for real and distinct roots. Okay, so let me just take this. So OP, now say 1, 5 and 1. The roots are real and distinct. Now D is, discriminant is 21. I don't know what the square root of 21 will be, some value. So minus B, okay, which is 5 something, right, by whole divided by 2a. So you are going to get the value of x1 and x2 as minus 0.2 and minus 4.7198. Okay, so this is what we are looking at, the first, right. Okay, so just look at this, and maybe you can let us take a calculator for example and see if this is fine. If you see the value of discriminant is 21, so 21 square root will be some 4.58 etc. So it is minus 5 plus discriminant, so minus 5. So minus 5 plus that is minus 4.17 divided by 2a is nothing but 2. So one of the roots should be minus 208. Okay, we are getting 208. The second one would be square root of 21 we have found out already, so we'll find it once again. So 4.5. So 4.5 so minus, again we will take minus b is again 5, correct? So we'll add 5, so we'll get this 9 point something, which is minus divided by 2. I'm not taking negative sign here. 4.79 negative with minus 4 if it is fine, because I've taken minus this 5 plus something, so it became 4.79 minus of that, so which is minus 4.71218. So I think it is perfect, right? The first condition is perfect. So let us take the second condition. Now let us look at our second condition. Now we have d is less than 0. One thing is very clear, we cannot find the square root of a negative number, so it may give some junk value. So for that, what we will do is we will calculate the roots separately. We know for a complex number or a complex root we have a real part. So real part will be minus b whole divided by 2 into a. So this is our real part minus b, and our imaginary part we have to do a little bit tricky here. So I'll just take the imaginary part is my square root of, see my d is already negative because d is less than 0. So if I want to call the square root function, if I have to call the square root function, I have to call it with a positive number. So since I know my d is already less than 0, I'll make it as minus t. So if I make it as minus t, it is nothing but square root of t. So this I will whole divided by 2 into a. So this is my imaginary part. Okay. So this is a little bit tricky. Again, once again I'll explain to you. My real part is minus b by 2 into a. My imaginary part is square root of minus d. Why am I saying minus d? Because d is already minus. Correct? So minus of minus d becomes plus d, so that I will not have problem with the square root function. Only in the display I will put I as a display, because square root does not return an imaginary root. Okay, so that we have to look at. But now I have real part and imaginary part. These two are variables which I have to declare. Let me declare them here. I'll say double RP and IP. This is for complex root. Complex roots. Okay. So now what I will do is, in my display I will say like this. So printf the roots, complex roots are So now what I will do, just observe carefully. So what I will do is I will take my x1. So what will be my x1? My x1 is equal to real part, okay, which is percentage LF plus this is minus b, is it? X1 equal to minus real part plus the imaginary part, correct? What is my imaginary part? My imaginary part is again percentage LF, correct? And here if you observe, I will put I, okay? I will put I. So my output will look like a complex number now. So it is my real part and this is the imaginary part, correct? So let me copy this again for the second root. So what will be my x2? My x2 will be real part minus imaginary part I. See, this I am displaying only as a character or one of the string content. It is actually not I. Square root of minus d doesn't return I. Let us see if this is perfect. Okay, so we will try and compile to see for any errors. So we have forgotten something there, so let me go back. Here I have forgotten double quotes. Let me save this. So I do this. Now if I'll give it as 1, 2 and 3. So if I give 1, 2 and 3, if you now take a calculator, right? So my discriminant is minus 8. That is because my b square will be 4, my 4ac will be 12, 4 minus 12 is minus 8. But I have a problem there, isn't it? So why I got the discriminant there is my square root of, so if I now take b square, which is nothing but 4 minus 12 is square root of 8. So first let me just take 8 and find its square root. Okay, so what I have done is I have taken the square root of 2.82 whatever, okay, and I have divided it by 2. If you see, I have divided it by 2 here, correct? Just to assume that I have just assume that even complex numbers are divisible. That's what I have given. So then it will be what? 2.2 divided by 2a, because my a is 1, so I'll do 2. Now this is equal to 1.4 whatever. So my complex number is 1.414 divided by 2 point something divided by 2i, which is nothing but 1.14 divided by 1.14214i. So my complex number looks like minus, okay. So since b will always be negative, I will remove this minus from here just to avoid this confusion. So I will just clear this. So let us take the same values. Let me explain it once again. 1, 2 and 3. So if you see now 1.142i, how did I get that? I took the square root, even if my d is minus 8, I cannot do a minus 8 here. So I cannot say minus 8 and then it is minus 8 and then get the square root. So I get invalid input, isn't it? So that is the reason what I do is I'll do minus of minus my 8. So I'll take 8, I'll find the square root. So I'll get 2.82, that I'll divide by 2. 2 into a, which is nothing but 2. So this I am getting 1.14. I know this is for I, correct? So that's why I put I here. Similarly, minus 1 minus 1.1412 for I. So these are my complex roots. So we have also taken care of the second condition. So we have the last condition is left out now. If d is equal to 0, the roots are real and coincidental. Now that is pretty simple. So what will be my root? My roots are x1 is equal to x2, isn't it? So I can just calculate for only x1, which is minus b whole divided by 2 into a, because my discriminant itself is 0, correct? So the roots are printf my x1 is equal to x2 is equal to my percentage LF, which is nothing but in this case the value of x1. Okay, I will save this code. Okay, so let me save this code. Let us recompile it, no problem. OP, I'll give say 1 to 1. Now if I give 1 to 1, my discriminant is 0. Now that is because my square root of 2 square is 4. My 4ac is, since a and c are 1, so 4 minus 4 is 0. So square root of that divided by 2a is 0 by something is 0. So it will be minus b by 2 into a. So minus, in this case b is 2, so it is minus 2 by minus 2, which is nothing but minus 1. Okay, so hope that you understood this code. If you have any doubts, please mail me at nitinpujari@gmail.com. I request all of you to go to this code, this video very slowly. Okay, then you will be able to figure it out how this code has been done. I'm just doing some code cleanup. So this is come to 100 lines. 100 lines of not blank spaces, whatever, it includes all my comments, etc. Okay, hope you like this video. See you in the next video. Thank you very much.